Glenn College's Young Alumni Achievement Award recognizes young alumni who've demonstrated distinctive achievement in a career or civic involvement or both. This year's Young Alumni Achievement Award winner is Dr. Leigh Anderson, Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice at Chicago State University. Dr. Anderson received her PhD from the Glenn College in 2014 after having completed a BA in the Administration of Justice from Howard University and an MPA from the John Jay College. In a very short period of time, Dr. Anderson has had an impact as a practitioner and as a scholar. She's held criminal justice administrative positions in the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, analytical and oversight roles for the District of Columbia, the City of Chicago, and the City of Harvey near Chicago. And now, as a faculty member at the Chicago State University, she conducts research and offers courses on criminal justice administration, while still finding time to conduct applied work, most notably as a police practice and community engagement expert for the Ferguson, Missouri consent decree monitoring team. Dr. Anderson, on behalf of the faculty, staff, and students of the John Glenn College of Public Affairs at The Ohio State University, I'm pleased to honor you with the 2021 Young Alumni Achievement Award.
Thank you. This is an incredible honor. I can't say enough, and thank you so much.
Well, you are incredibly deserving, and it's just been remarkable how much you've achieved in a short period of time. But from your vantage point, what have been the highlights of your career so far that you're the most proud of?
Oh my goodness. I will say it started early, right? So research became a part of my career as an undergrad at Howard University. I started working with the Department of Homeland Security as a fellow there. And I worked with Dr. Terry Adams, who was a criminal justice professor, and we worked on a book that looked at natural disasters and what happens when police officers are personally impacted by those disasters that they have to respond to, specifically using Hurricane Katrina and these claims of dereliction of duty as sort of that base to jump off our research question. So that was definitely a highlight because I ended up getting scholarships to go and pursue graduate studies, both at John Jay and at John Glenn. So that was super exciting. Also, I would say being a part of the honors internship program with the FBI, that was an amazing experience, having a top secret SCI clearance, being read into different programs. And then I would probably say the monitorship has been amazing. Just working in police reform. I know I keep going on, right? Everything that I've done is like so amazing. I'm very excited about it.
Well, talk a little bit more about this most recent one, this experience where you're part of the monitoring team of the part of the consent decree for Ferguson, which is the epicenter of so much, concern about policing and protests. What's your role and what have you learned from that?
Yes, so I function primarily looking at some of the police practice, but mostly the community engagement parts of the consent decree. And so we want to make sure that the city of Ferguson is in compliance with the consent decree that came down from the Department of Justice. And so I sit on an independent monitoring team. And what happens in this space is that the city of Ferguson works very closely with the Department of Justice to achieve those objectives in the consent decree to lead towards more reform, more constitutional policing, and just making sure that we are looking at incorporating problem solving and community policing into everyday interactions between officers and the community. And so what we do primarily is we audit their work. I also provide technical assistance. So if the Ferguson Police Department is like, okay, you're gonna audit on this, but we need some assistance here, then the monitoring team is able to provide that assistance versus it always being sort of this monitor relationship. There is still sort of a collaborative relationship that comes out of it so that everybody's working together for the good of the Ferguson community.
What originally inspired you to do criminal justice administration and policing reform? Was it a particular person? Was there an inspiration, or Or what drove you to this
Yes.
line of work and research?
I would say my grandfather. So my grandfather was one of the first African-American police officers on the St. Louis City Police Department. In fact, on his roster, which he has, it has an asterisk by his name, denotes colored officer. And he could not police neighborhoods that were not of primarily African-American citizens or residents. And so after that, but he loved law enforcement. He loved the profession. He talked about it all the time. My uncles then followed behind him in his footsteps, a few of my cousins. And so law enforcement and policing became sort of this, the thing that the Andersons do. We go after this, right? And so I had applied to the DC Police Department my senior year of Howard. And that same week, I found out that I had gotten a call. At that time, I had gotten accepted to John Jay College of Criminal Justice. And I got a call from the Department of Homeland Security, and they said, we want to continue to pay for your research and your graduate education. And I was like, what do I do? And my grandfather is like, I'd love for you to come into policing. But at the same time, there are other ways that you can help the field of policing. And that was where sort of my world opened up in terms of reform and research and sort of helping police get to the resources that they need while not necessarily having a badge and being in a squad car.
Well, so build on that. Talk a little bit about what role education broadly, but specifically your PhD has had in your career advancement. How has that propelled you forward?
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the word propel, because that I feel is exactly what ended up happening. Probably about a year or two after I graduated, right? So it takes about a little bit of time for you to find your footing. But what I will say is that prior to me coming to John Glenn, we talked about this briefly, that I was at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and there I studied a master's of inspector general degree. And so it's an oversight and inspection degree. And so I wanted to be able to work with criminal justice agencies and to be able to find any issues that they had, right? How do we zero in on this? What does the oversight processes look like? And so I was very good at finding the issues. I was not so good at providing policy recommendations. It's, enter into my life, John Glenn College of Public Affairs. And it hasn't stopped for me since then. And so, especially working for offices of inspectors general, which is also has been a highlight of my career, both in DC and Chicago, specifically looking at fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption, specifically within police departments, right? Being able to work through and not only find the issues, but to provide solid recommendations for change for agencies, right? To be understanding of resources are limited, to be understanding of, oh my goodness, we just got this new law that came down. How do we translate this into boots on the ground, literally and figuratively for police departments? And so that has really propelled me to be able to take laws, look at them, transfer them into policies, and then take policies, make them into procedures, which are able to, breaking that down so that we can understand them, we can follow them, we can audit them and track them, and just really be able to be inconsistent and in alignment with what is expected of public agencies in law enforcement.
So you've just had a remarkable early career. You've just accomplished so much, and you've had a tremendous impact on the practice of law enforcement, our study and knowledge of it. And so I'm sure I could easily identify traits and attributes, hardworking, diligent, that would describe you. But as you think about yourself, what personal characteristics do you think have driven you to succeed at this early age? What is it about you that's distinct?
I have to say loyalty. And just loyalty to my passion. And I think that, when we were talking and you were like, what have been the highlights of your career? I'm like, this and this and this, right? And so this idea that as things pop up, if they're interesting, and this isn't you only live one life, so go out and do what you do, right? This is more of what really invigorates you to actually go after what it is that you're looking for and make change. So we're not necessarily always in a space where we can be agents of change, But so there are times, downtimes, right, where we learn. And then there are times where we get up and we go. And so I think being in a place of having discernment of when it's time to sit down, listen and learn, and when it's time to get up and go and move forward.
Well, Dr. Anderson, you're a marvel and we're proud of you. And so once again, I want to congratulate you on being our Young Alumni Achievement winner this year, knowing that you're going to continue to go off and do great things. So congratulations.
Thank you. And it is an amazing honor. I started this interview speechless. I'm ending speechless. I've been speechless since, we've talked about this, because I really hold in high regard, very high regard, the John Glenn College of Public Affairs, especially underneath your leadership. And prior to that, working with Dr. Wise. And so this has just been an amazing journey for me. And it's something to be honored by your own. And for that, I say thank you.
Well, the feeling is mutual. Congratulations.
Thank you again, Dr. Brown.